So let's get into it. We're going to start practicing now. All right? So what we looked at last week was the first four measures of rhythm changes. And I'm talking about the A sections now. The A sections, there's 8, 8, and then there's the bridge, and then there's the last 8, which is the final A section. So A section, bridge, A section. A, B, A is the way that rhythm changes gets broken down, typically. Now, what we focused on last week was the first 4 bars of the A sections, which is pretty much, there are different ways, different chord changes that you can use that do get played, but we're going to specifically take it from more like what's happening here, which is coming straight from Paul Chambers. These are the changes that he is most often implying in the second 4 bars of each A section. Just got to clarify that again. This is just the second 4 bars of each A section. And now each of these A sections, the first one is different than the second and the last one. So this is the first A section, the second 4 bars. We're going to check these out first. I've got some great examples from the master Paul Chambers walking over these changes. And so what we see here, it gets to a B flat, right? And a lot of times this B flat turns, can I do this? It turns dominant. It goes to the 4 chord. And then in order to get back to the B flat in the next A section, we have a 2 and a 5. If we look here, let me see if I can't pull up the next, if I can find the right. We might have to deal with that when we get there. Oh, here it is. Yeah, so this would be the A section, the 4 bars that usually happens getting to the bridge or the end of the tune, right? So you see it changes a little bit differently here. A lot of times the 1 gets resolved to before you move on. So in the first A sections, we have basically a 2-5, that's a longer form 2-5, getting back to the 1, and we want to hit the 1 on beat 1 of the next bar, right? Here is an alternate version, just slightly alternate. So again, right here at the beginning, instead of being B flat major, it's F minor 7. So we have a 2, 5, 1. A lot of times people will put like a diminished chord right here, an E diminished. That doesn't happen too much in this recording, if at all. C minor, the 2, and then the 5, right? Great, so let's look at our first 4 bar section. This is again from Paul Chambers, walking on Oleo. And this is I believe the first chorus. So Miles plays the melody, the first A section melody. Paul joins in. This is the second grouping of 4 bars that happens there. This is the 2, 5, 1 to the 4 chord. So we're saying like 2, 5 to the 4 chord, right? Then the 1. It's kind of murky, like you can imply different chord changes sometimes. But let's play this through, okay? Hold on, I need to get my headphones so we can hear this metronome. So let's check this out. And then I just blew come on now. There we go. Webcams. All right, so we're going to do it at just a really reasonable, nothing fast. We're really concerned more about note choice and analyzing the choices that Paul Chambers is making on this walking line, okay? So play this along with me. We're going to start right here at the top. We'll play it through. I'm calling this metronome beats 2 and 4, and it's just set on 50 right now, so we're really just implying 100 beats per minute, right? So nice down the middle. If you listen to the recording, of course, it's way faster, and you can get to that, but we're trying to really choose these notes here. So play this with me, right? So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. Now I think this is heading to the bridge. So this was, yeah, I think this is heading to the bridge. I think he ends up playing, no, it's not. He's not. He's going back to the second A section, and he's hitting a D on beat 1 after he's doing all this. So implying the 3rd on that 1 chord. Let's play it again. So 1, 2, 3, go. Which is what I hear him. That's where he's heading. The next note in the bass line, I'm fairly certain. But now let's just check it out. What's making this a good bass line? I mean, it's a beautiful bass line. It really outlines the chord changes that are happening. It's flowing. It's very linear. There are some there's like a tritone thing that's happening up here, but otherwise everything is fairly small as far as intervallics go, right? So, but what's making this happen again is we talked about this last week on beats 1 and 3, 1, 3, and for the most part, some of this, there's no hard and fast rules, but we're noticing the chords that are being implied by what's happening on beats 1 and 3. Okay, so what we did last week and what I want to do again today is to take every other note. So we're going to play beats 1 and 3, and using this kind of shape that Paul is laying out in his bass line, we're going to make our own bass lines. Okay, so we want to understand how these bass lines are being made and then try to figure out how we can best do that ourselves. And we're really narrowing the scope right now to get just inside of these 4 bars. So let's play it one more time. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's a lot of chromaticism here. And that's intentional, you know what I mean? Keep bobbing and weaving between these chords. So here's how I want to break this down. I realize I'm just like shooting most of my screen off here, but this is what's happening with the bass line. He's hitting the root on beat 1, the root of F minor, the root of B flat 7, the root 2 times, and E flat, or the 4 chord. He gets to the 5th of B flat. He's kind of implying, we could call this a bunch of different things, but the line is just simply moving down. Then the 5th, and then maybe the 13th of F7. You could make a case for saying that's all like B flat-ish too. But we just want to look at it broken up this way. So if we do that, let's just play it in half time now, okay? So just play this top line with me, okay? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. This is 5, 4, 2, 3. Let's do it one more time. 2, 3, 4. F, B flat, E flat, E flat, F, E flat, C, D. Now what I have written underneath here is a line that I just composed based off of this chord tone structure that we're taking directly from Paul's line, okay? Play this with me now. So now what we checked out last week was we were trying to hit these chord tones on beats 1 and 3. And whatever happens on beats 2 and 4, it's an important note choice as well. But we want to make sure that those beats 1 and 3 are really solidly identifying the chords, so the harmony's being, has the bottom to it. But what happens on 2 and 4 is a lot of times either triad notes or scale notes, and sometimes chromatics, right? But we want to get away from always using the chromatic approach because these chords go by really quickly. So we don't want to end up, it sounds fine at this speed, I guess, but if you keep using that over and over, then you have less information that you can deal with. So let's check out this line. It's the bottom line that we have here that I just composed, before we did this. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. Let's try it one more time. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. B flat, E flat, E flat. Make sense? All right, now let's try just composing a bass line. It's not written out, but using this chord tone melody. I like to call it a chord tone melody, I guess. So our only restrictions are to hit these notes in these registers, but whatever happens on beats 2 and 4, try to make it flow. So we're either picking a chord tone or a chromatic shape or scale tone, something that leads nicely as best we can. Try it with me. So we're going to play just based off these chord tones, but pick whatever notes you want on beats 2 and 4 that hopefully will make it flow. Okay? So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. And it's okay to repeat stuff too, I think. So going down chromatically, approaching. That could be better. Let's try it again. 2, 3, go. So we have different options, right? That's really the point, is to try to get that shape of the line and draw from there. So let's look at another section of 4, all right? So this is, again, this is the second 8 bars of the first A section where it's leading back to the 1 chord of the second A, right? So it's important to know that difference. There's distinction. It's not always 2, 5, 1 leading back there, but let's try this out. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. Sounds like it wants to go right there, right back to the top of the next A section. We could lead up to a D as well, probably just fine. Let's play it one more time. So 1, 2, 3, go. Maybe D. So let's just look at it real quick now too. So for analyzing, Paul is playing on the 3rd of F minor. You could call that the 7th of B flat 7 too, if you want to call this whole measure of B flat 7. The minor 2 and the dominant 5, basically the same. It's no hard and fast rule again, but that's what's up. So the 3rd of F minor, root of B flat, the root of E flat, and he's just implying a lot of E flat in this bar right here. So we're going to leave that there. Then to the 5th of the C minor. So again, we don't always need to hit the root on beat 1. We can make our lines flow a little bit better with just bobbing and weaving and hitting either the root, the 3rd, or the 5th, sometimes the 7th, and we'll see some of that too later on. So the 5th of C minor, leading up chromatically to F, right? And then here's our famous 1, 3, 6, 5. We did this weeks ago in the walking bass patterns on our YouTube video. So, all right, now here is it broken down a little bit. So here's our chord tone melody taken from Paul's bass line. So we've got the 3rd of F, A flat, going to the root, B flat, leading to the 1 of the 4 chord. Now basically he's implying a whole bar of just E flatness. There's no 2 chords in here. Sometimes people will play the E diminished, and you can use that chromatic motion leading to the 5. It happens. Then the 5th of C minor 7, so that's G, to the 3rd of C minor 7, to the root, to the 3rd of B flat, I guess, or the 13th. So let's play this. This is our chord tone melody. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. That's likely where it would be heading, right? Back to the B flat. Let's play it again. 1, 2, 3, go. Hitting that E flat again. E flat, F, D. All right, great. So let's check out the line that's written underneath this, the walking line. Now I'm using some chromaticism. Try to figure out what it is I'm doing here to make this line flow. There's quite a lot of chromaticism, especially from the E flat leading up to the G, with the C minor chord with the G in the bass. So let's play this line and see if you like it. So 1, 2, 3, go. Straight chromatic all the way up to that note. Let's try one more time. So 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, great. So that line sounds good to me. It hits all, it hits on all cylinders. Like we're hitting the chord changes. We're not necessarily hitting every root all of the time. We're using some nice flowing chromaticism. And really the big guide is our ears, trying to hit these goalposts, right? So let's try composing our own line on the spot with our only restrictions, of course, to play in time, have a great feel, right? Great sound. But we're going to try to hit this A flat, B flat, to this E flat for a bar, etc., etc. So let's just try it through a few times, okay? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. A flat, B flat, E flat, G, E flat, F, D. Cool. So I tried to use some of the triad notes, some of the scale notes, and a little bit of chromaticism. Let's try it again. So this again is the chord tone melody, but put in whatever bass line that makes sense to you. We could go from the A flat up to C, to approach that B flat. You could play A flat, A, B flat. You could play A flat, F, B flat. Some good options right there. So 1, 2, 3, go. So slightly different, right? A different type of line. But as long as I have those goalposts in my ear or in my line, then it's going to make a lot of sense, right? Okay, let's move on. Here's our third snippet of Paul Chambers from Olio. And again, here he's implying the 2-5 to the 4 chord. So it's this 2 of E flat, 5 of E flat, and then finally E flat. F, he's implying like F7. It could also be C minor 7. But the line is flowing. So we talked about some of this like dominant bebopness right here, the for lack of a better term. I know that's not universally accepted, whatever, but the chromatic motion of just getting to this F and then working its way back down. Right? That works. So let's play this line. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. Probably a D at the end there, right? So the first thing probably jumps out is seeing this A flat on the B flat 7th chord. You could call it the 7th of B flat 7, or you could just say this is all F minor, or you could just say that it's all B flat 7 really. So another thing that comes to mind is you could call this, perhaps the way that he's playing it, is this is F minor 7 for a whole bar, and maybe B flat 7 for a whole bar, right? Going to F, and kind of generalizing some of these chord changes, right? But keeping the line intact, which is a really big thing. Let's play it again. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. And likely a D at the end. That's just where the ear sounds like it wants to go, right? So let's break this down. So I'm just taking every other note from the bass line, and we'll try to fill in the blanks as best we can, just using this amount of information. Okay. So let's play through the chord tone melody thing, just real quick, and we'll play it in half notes, just the way it's written. Play it through like twice. See how that goes. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, go. Cool. Okay, so let's play the line that's written out underneath it now. This is the line that I composed earlier, just to kind of give an example of what we're going to do over this, okay? So 1, 2, 3, go. It works, right? It functions. So there's a little bit more scalar stepping in here, doing broken thirds. That's always a good option too. Let's play it again. 1, 2, 3, go. Cool. All right, now let's back it up. Let's make our own line, okay? Just whatever comes to mind, but trying to hit these goalposts. Okay, so a good thing to do, you can move up scale-wise, you could use, basically whatever makes sense to get from this F to A flat. Maybe another chromatic motion, A flat to B flat, be a good step. Let's try it out, see how it goes. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. Cool. Let's try it again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. Yeah, it works. I've played better lines, but it works, like that's the point, to try to kind of have this continuity in the line and really make sense like where you're heading from and where you're going. So that's what we're trying to achieve here with this practice. Leave in the comments, let me know what you're thinking, okay? Any comment suggestions, we're going to double back on that after we get some more practicing in, okay? Here is our example number 4. Again, this is the second 4 measures of rhythm changes. Olio, this is Paul Chambers we're checking out here. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. Probably a D at the end. That sounds where the line wants to go, right? Let's play it again. So 1, 2, 3, go. Cool, right? So he's implying this B flat 7, and I'm not calling this an F minor, right? Because it starts on B flat. He's implying this 7th right here, and he pivots back and forth from the G, A flat, G. So the guidepost there is hitting the 3rd of the E chord, right? Now, this is really just a chromatic line leading to F again, like we saw in the previous example too, right? So a lot of similarities, and that's okay. That's one of the key components in Paul's lines too. Maybe not key components, but there's a lot of repetition of ideas in his bass lines, you know, across different songs, of course, and whatever you're transcribing, you're going to see a bunch of Paulisms the more you get into that, right? So repeating lines and repeating ideas, especially when we're walking at the tempo that Paul's playing at, it's totally fine, right? All right, let's play this. These are the chord tones kind of implied by his line, so let's just play it. We've got a whole note to start off with, so we'll just hit that one all together. So 1, 2, 3, go. Now the 3rd of E flat, the root of E flat, the root of F, 7th, the root of C, and the root of F. Let's do it one more time. 2, 3, go. So that's the root of B flat 7, the 3rd of E flat, the root of E flat, the root of F. There's the 7th. Great. I'm getting crazy buzz on this B flat. That's where we're at right now. Let's play the line that I have composed underneath here, okay? So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. It functions just fine, right? We're using some of that chromatic motion, trying to hit the same goalposts. Let's play that line one more time. 2, 3, go. Cool. Okay. Now let's take the information at the top, the chord tone melody, try to make our own bass line. Again, the only kind of rules that we're trying to put into our lines right now is to hit these chord tones. So just make it fit. Try to play inside of the triad, the arpeggio, the scale, or if you hear some chromatic motion, that's great. All right, let's try it. So 1, 2, 3, go. So I was thinking of doing root, 3rd, 5th, going up that way. Chromatic, chromatic, scale. I think I played it slightly different the first time than the other, but that's okay. As long as it's flowing, it still sounds like we're playing in the right key, of course. That's what's up. So, yeah, hopefully you're enjoying that. Here we're going to start checking out now. We're moving on. This is a focus still in the second 4 bars of the A sections. But remember we talked about there's the first A section, which functions slightly differently. It has a 2-5 at the end of the first A section, which wants to lead back to B flat. And this also happens, you know, it happens in different ways. This is not a strong, you know, a fast, you know, like rule that is always going to happen. But this is what's happening more or less in this transcription. Again, you can find the transcription downstairs. Click the link, whatever. So here is the second and last A sections. And we notice that we're going to get to a B flat before it's all said and done, right? So they're more of a quick kind of motion, but there's usually a B flat implied at the end or 1 implied at the end, depending on what key you're in, right? So same kind of idea. This B flat could also be F minor sometimes. So this could be F minor to B flat 7 to E flat 2, and then a 5-1. Really the focus here now is that 5-1-ness at the end of it, okay? So let's check out some examples, see if that's what we're talking about is correct. All right, let's play this line. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. So that's kind of like all B flat 7 there. We could make the case too that this is 1, 6, and then a 5 to a 1, maybe. There's a bunch of different ways you could think about this, but I'm just putting the chords above it that kind of made the most sense when I was writing this up. Let's play it again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. So there's a lot of C minor there. This is definitely resolving before we get to beat 1 of that next measure. That D, B flat, very clearly just B flat at the end. He's not implying a C minor to an F7. So I think that's an important distinction, if I can speak. So let's play our chord tone melody now, okay? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. Eventually getting back to a B flat, most likely. Let's play one more time. So 1, 2, 3, go. Now the root of the 4 chord, so just motion right here. So the 7th, 6th, or 5th, root, 3rd, 1. Now let's play the line that I have written underneath this. This is just a line I composed based off of this chord tone structure. We can use it as an example, right? So let's do that. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. Cool. So it still functions the same. It's not as good as Paul's line, of course, but it's working, right? This would work. Let's play it again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. Now they got to hit that 4 chord. It's the F. Half step into this. So it's resolved by the end, right? All right, so let's try our own bass line of these chord tones now. You ready? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. Right, so I found a little chromaticism towards the end. Pretty much anytime you have these whole steps in our chord tone melody, you can plug in a half step in between it, right? Like especially here, E flat, E natural to F. And again, I did that here between G and F right there. So you can walk down G, G flat, much like the line that's written underneath, written down there. But let's try it again. So 1, 2, 3, go. So it's another option, right? Cool. All right, let's check out another PC snippet here. All right, so the same thing's being implied. You can see at the end over here, very clearly landing on the 1 chord on beats 3, right? So it's a really quick resolution at the end of this, all right? Further, a couple more of these Mondays down the road, we're going to see more. But I think really understanding these sections and shedding them is really important to like a deeper understanding of the entirety of the bass line. So that's kind of why we're doing this too. Okay? All right, let's check out this line. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. Whoa. Forgot how to play bass there for a minute. I think I got thrown off because I would never write this G sharp, but I guess I did. I would call it an A flat just because of the chromatic motion. It's really weird to see G sharp and then moving down to half. Anyway, it's a personal thing, so it's my fault. Let's try it again. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. Just chromatic motion down to the 5th. Right, and that would be leading back to the 1 chord again. All right, let's check this out. Here are the chord tones just extracted from that bass line that we just played. And again, you can always go back and watch this video again if you want to check any of this out. Check out the PDF down below. You can practice writing out your own lines if you want to. But I think this is a cool thing to work on. So obviously, that's why we're doing it, right? Okay, so let's play the chord tone melody in half notes, except for the second bar here, which is a whole note, right? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. The root of the 4 chord, 3, 4. So again, the point is getting back to that B flat. This is the second and the last A sections, the second 4 bars of each of those sections. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Again, the chord tone melodies. To the 1 of the 4 chord. We're shooting for the 5th of C minor, the root of C minor, the root of F, and B flat. All right, let's play the line that's written down below. Okay, so again, I saw a whole step right here, so we can definitely put in that chromatic motion. So I'm going to go, and that'll work really well. There's a pivot that happens in the line down here. So I'm playing G, A flat, G, which is also taken directly from Paul's transcription we did a second ago. Okay, so let's play the line that's written down below. We'll play it through like twice and then do our own. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. Cool. Let's try it one more time. 1, 2, 3, go. Half step. Some scale action here. Pivot. So this line that I wrote here makes me reminds me that there's a lot of options we can use with our open strings, as long as the bass is tuned normally. We can use the open D and open G to really do some bigger, if we do want to play some bigger intervals or some bigger skips. Like for instance, I can land on this G on beat 1 of the C minor chord on the open string, and that'll help. That can help me get up to D that's a little bit higher on the G string, right? So it's a good place to pivot there. But let's take our chord tone melody now. Try to compose our own bass line off of that. So you'll see some similarities. Again, it's okay to repeat yourself. If it's good enough to say it once, right? Why not repeat it? You can totally do that. Let's try it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. All right. Not terrible, not great, but that's why we're practicing. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. I'm going to do this chromatic again. Cool. All right, so let's look at the next one here. This is our third snippet from Paul's walking line on the second and the last second 4 bars of the A sections. Man, it's a mouthful, but hopefully you're understanding like where we're talking about and how this all fits. So let's play this line. You'll see a lot more chromaticism going on in here too, and we'll see repetition again. So let's see what we notice. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. He likes this walk down right here. Half step. I'm just putting a B flat on the end. It kind of caps the statement. Let's play the line again. So 1, 2, 3, go. Chromatic motion to the 5th. Walk down to the 5th. To the root. To the root. There. Cool. Beautiful line, right? All right, so let's check this out. Here's our chord tone melodies extracted from that line we just played. Okay, so again, he's hitting the 3rd of F minor. He does that a ton. He loves that motion, you know, in this section of the rhythm changes. So that's something in itself that's like very Paul Chambers-esque. If we can take the chord changes that he's implying, which is a lot of what bass lines are, like, you know, this wouldn't be written out all this way most likely, but we can kind of say it on the spot. Hopefully that's clear. I'm being clear with what I'm trying to say. So we've got A flat. Let's count. I'll count you in. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. So here's the 3rd of F minor, the root of B flat. That's the root of E flat again. Right. So he's hitting the 3rd of F minor, the root of B flat 7, the root of E flat, and the 5th of C minor. right? Which maybe you could say that's kind of an implied, it's not an implied secondary dominant, but it's part of the C minor chord, I think. F, and he's landing on the B flat at the end. So let's play the bass line that I've got composed underneath our chord tone melody here. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. A lot of chromaticism here. We've already done this before. Open G gets me up to that D really easily. Yeah, let's try it again. 1, 2, 3, go. Cool, right. So there's, again, repetition here in this chord tone melody, but let's see if we can still innovate. Try not to play the same lines every time, and if you do, just use sections that are using the lines maybe you've like done before, like little cells. Like maybe you could use this from our previous example, but try not to make a habit of doing it like every single time. You know, and you always can on the gig or whatever, but we want to practice having some flexibility. So let's play it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. Great, let's try it again. So 1, 2, 3, go. Cool, it's fun. It's fun to do, right? Let's check out our last transcription snippet here. Again, this is Paul Chambers, of course, on Oleo. Much slower tempo, but we're trying to think about his note choice. Some of the, I don't even need to talk about, but some of the greatest things you'll hear from Paul Chambers when you're listening to the recordings is A, his sound, B, his feel, and these are in a certain order, but his sound and his feel are just always impeccable. The length of these notes are always super long, really clear attack. You can always tell what he's playing, and it's a great source for transcription. So if you're new to transcribing too, Paul Chambers is a great place to start, because you can typically always hear the bass really well. But then the note choices too, how he's bouncing in and out of playing over chord changes, and then we're not even going to talk about the soloing yet. It's just brilliant, all of it. It's brilliant. Let's try. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. Again, repetition, right? This is cool. He resolves earlier. That's pretty cool. So again, he's most likely landing or heading towards the bridge in this line, I think, because a lot of times he'll play, and we'll talk about the bridge next week. Got some good transcriptions on the bridge, but a lot of times instead of just hitting D7, very common, and I'm kind of jumping ahead here, but on the bridge, a lot of times people will play 2 bars of D7, 2 bars of G7, 2 bars of C7, 2 bars of F7, right? No mystery there. But a lot of times it can be instead of 2 bars of D7, you could say A minor 7 leading to D7. Even to back that up more, sometimes in this, and we'll see this next week too, in Paul's lines, he kind of implies some different type of, that was like a 2-5-1 leading to the D7. It could just be the shape of what he's doing, but there's some really interesting things that we can get out of this next week, so make sure you check it out. All right, so let's jump to this is the chord tone melody from Paul's line that we just played. Let's play the chord tone melody in half notes and whole notes here, and then we'll try to play the line underneath it, and then we'll compose our own line, okay? So chord tone melody, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. Again, the 5th of C minor. Now the 3rd of F7, that just flows, that couldn't flow any better, right? So this is all really close by together. A lot of room for, smaller intervals, chromaticism, so the line just really flows. But that's clearly 2-5-1 leading up there. Let's play it again. So 1, 2, 3, go. Cool. Okay, so let's play the line that's composed that's underneath that chord tone melody. Try it with me. 1, 2, 3, go. Scalar, chromatic, fifth. The line sounds like it wants to end on a D there. Let's play it one more time. So again, here is the whole step, going from A flat to B flat. It's a great opportunity for that chromatic motion. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. Fifth of B flat, root, 7, root, 9, fifth of C minor, chromatic. Right, so now you could make the case that going from that G, A flat to A, well, the A flat maybe isn't in that C minor chord, but the motion of it definitely works. It still sounds like a 2-5-1 that's moving ahead, or at least the dominant that's moving towards B flat. So let's try the chord tone melody with our own bass lines real quick, and we will go in to check out some comments. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. This is a lot of repetition, right? Because we've already done this shape. That works. A lot of scale stuff, chromatic notes. Let's try it again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. So I use that little 1-6-2-5 thing that we're so fond of towards the end of that bass line, but that was good practicing. We want to check out the lines of bass players, of course, like by Paul Chambers, Ray Brown. There's so many great bass players to draw ideas from and inspiration from. Paul Chambers definitely fits that bill across the board. So great, let's head over, check out some comments, see what's going on. So I'm definitely here if you want to write anything, any questions, any suggestions for what's going on. Yeah, cool. Hi from the Rockies in Colorado. Hey Colleen, how are you? Good to see you. Okay, here's a really important one. What strings are you using? Roman, I can't tell you that. I can't tell you that because I don't remember. They're just. No, I'm kidding. These are Eva Perazzi's. The E, A, and the D are all Eva Perazzi's. I think they're the mediums. I don't know. This is a Perastro Olive, I think, on the G string. I like it for bowing. Somebody actually in one of these sessions recommended getting that for, because I was doing a lot more arco like recording and playing with this other band that I'm in, and it really works great. It's kind of like a great mix between a gut string, which is too. I mean, that's a thing to consider. Paul Chambers was always playing on gut strings. A lot of the early recordings we hear, they're butt string. I just said butt strings. They're gut strings, right? And the tendency now is to use steel, so it's kind of a good mix of both. Okay, here's a question we got. Pick and Stone. How do you signal the start of a new section when you walk a line on something like Ron Carter? How do you signal the start of a new section when you walk a line on something like RC? I'm assuming the RC. Oh, okay, sorry. Name all the heads. Okay, quick, name all the heads based off of rhythm changes. Okay, so you're not talking about Ron Carter, you're talking about rhythm changes. How do you signal the start of a new section when you walk a line on something like rhythm changes? Start of a new section, a lot of times, it depends on which section I think we're talking about too, Pick and Stone. If we're talking about leading to the bridge, you want to play something that's going to imply that bridge, that first quality, that dominant 3 chord, or perhaps a 2 in front of it. So that's a big thing. You don't necessarily need to signal the start of a new section. You can make things flow. A lot of times, you can be in and out of the chord of the moment. And you don't need to have a really big, huge, here's B flat, here's the top, depending on who you're playing with too. A lot of times drummers will set this up. But yeah, I don't know if you need to signal a new start of each section either, honestly. But if you like, you have the transcription down below, and there's a bunch of transcriptions of Paul that are online that you can find, or you could do your own. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, if you want to be as clear as day, like if there is some confusion in the band, you can always double up the chords for a moment, as in this, like, and do it without a vibe face, right? Don't be like, or do, whatever, right? But that would be a way to make sure everybody gets back on the same page if that's what we're looking to do there. Okay, cool. Okay, Dave, how's it going? On the second pass, the lines numbered 2. I'm really aware that the next chord coming up is that D7. Yeah. Oh, we're hitting the bridge next week for sure. Absolutely, Dave. Yeah, for sure. Yes, and I'm trying to make this a part of a series so we understand each section a little bit better, because a lot of times there's mystery around, well, all of these different sections. You could see chord charts that say one thing, you could hear somebody else playing something else, but we're really just trying to pick explicitly from Paul's lines, and that's the point. So yeah, you can hear those lines going. And what I was implying earlier too is that a lot of times he'll put a 2 in front of that D7, like he'll play A minor. Or even ahead of that, he'll play like an E, A, D kind of shape. And he'll also put in a secondary dominant sometimes before going to that E. So there's a lot of extra stuff going in there. But yeah, your ear wants to hear that move to the next section, right? So, yeah. All right. Quick, name all the heads based off rhythm changes. Rhythm changes. Okay, Pick and Stone's on it. Right on. Okay. Hey, Christopher. Love PC lines. It's really nice to hear somebody walk through it. Hey, pun intended. Nice. Okay, Alexandra. Thanks. I liked that one. It helped me to download. Oh, okay, cool. Download the lesson beforehand. So you're able to get the PDF. Great. I'm glad that helped. I totally did say butt strings. Live on YouTube. I just said it again because you wrote it. Thanks, Dave. Thanks for reminding me. Rubbing it in. Pick and Stone. Yes. Did say that, didn't he? Yep. I can't take that back, so I'm just going to roll with it. All right, Chris. Hey, awesome lesson. Thanks. You really worked us hard today. I liked it. Is this the sort of pace you use when practicing by yourself? Honestly, no. It's no. It's really what I want to be clear. In some circumstances, I really do try to boil down and reduce things. What's, you could transcribe the line, and you want to be able to do that and play along with the recording, but, where do we take that into the next step? Most likely I would speed things up a little bit, and probably put them through a couple different keys, just to make sure that I've got a different kind of level of depth, into the concept. So, but we're trying to make these as accessible as possible when it's clear. So, yeah. What about you? How would you alter what we were doing today if you were to? Cool. Thanks. Oh, Roman, about Eva's. Yep. I think so too. Yeah, I'm definitely. That's not unique. Definitely heard it. Other places, different guts on the D and the G string, or steel on the E and the A. And again, I think it depends on what sound conception you have in mind, and then also what you need to do work related. Do you know what I mean? If that means having all steel strings, go with that, So, and the basses, of course, every bass is different. The way we play on different basses is, your hands are different. There's just so many differences. So, yeah, there's definitely not just one string option, and we all know that, right? We spend a lot of money on strings probably. All right. Okay, Scott. Oh, yeah, Visitation. Yes. Yeah. Rufus gave me a tune some years back by Paul called Visitation. Yeah. Hey, Scott, yeah, you were with us recently talking about your lessons with Rufus. That's really cool. Yeah, Visitation, he recorded that on one of his own albums, didn't he? I always butcher the names of his albums, but I'm sure it's up there. Yep, that's a Rhythm Changes head. Yep, Visitation. Cool. Okay, what's that? Taken to the bridge or something is the tune. Oh, okay. Right on, Pick and Stone. Oh, okay, cool. Thanks so much. I really appreciate that. We did our first, I think only the first one is out. We've got a new podcast in the works with the great Reuben Rogers. Yeah, and we may or may not be starting up our own. And I'm really excited about that too. But yeah, please check out the You'll Hear It podcasts always, because it's just great stuff between Adam Manis and Peter Martin and special guests on. And we really had a good time being able to do that. Ruben and I, that is, to go and get to talk some bass, a little more bass-centric stuff. So keep your eyes peeled. There's more coming, hopefully. Let me check this last comment here. Chris, writes, do you ever use the seventh of a chord on the first beat of chord, or stay away from that and only use 1, 3, 5? Oh man, yeah, for sure. You can definitely use, and you can do that all day. There's no problem with that. But you want to use it honestly, like you want your ears to really hear that, and I say use that honestly, don't just try to force it into the line. But there's nothing wrong with using that. I mean, you could immediately call it a delayed resolution. Like if I'm trying to get to F, yeah, you can start on E flat on beat 1, and I'm heading in that direction, or any other direction too. It doesn't need to always move up to the 1. So yeah, starting on sevenths is totally fine. Yeah, but you just want to be real careful with it too, right? So yeah. Hey, Wayne, you made it. Good to see you, Wayne. Thanks for stopping through. Okay, that's all the comments that I think we're going to deal with today. So thanks so much for joining me. Please